And honestly, all too often, I think. But I think a good question is, how should you respond? What are some considerations? What healthy mindset to take about it? Obviously, I wish it didn't happen. I wish it wasn't something that dancers had to deal with, but I hear over and over again from many of the dancers that I work with that it's something they face or have faced in the past. So it's worth discussing. It's very unfortunate that it happens. Artistic staff also, I would say, are not always being fully transparent. There are times when weight is used as sort of a scapegoat for not giving you a certain role. So, it's unfortunately not always used altruistically. Sometimes they will say, oh, it's your body, because that's sometimes an easier thing to bring up than we chose her because we like something that she does better. Discussing it that way is a little bit more uncomfortable sometimes. So sometimes they'll just use your body, like I said, as a scapegoat, something to blame. And then unfortunately it becomes something that you blame. It might be time to reconsider where you're dancing if this is something that you face consistently. Oh, I see a nice number of you hopping on. If you guys have any additional questions or insights or things to add to this, please feel free to comment. I'd love to hear from you. But one of my clients was at a company for a while, and she was getting told repeatedly that her body was the reason why she wasn't being cast in certain roles. She was being told that, we just can't put you on stage in this costume and that sort of thing, which is extremely disheartening and really tears you down. And especially if you're not being given additional support or resources or information, it can be very easy to get to a negative place. So I think that for her, it was a big thing for us to discuss. Is this the right place for you to be dancing? If they're consistently giving you this feedback, should you maybe seek other opportunities? Ultimately, she did end up seeking other opportunities, and she came from a very high-level company and was able to get a position at another company where she's now very happy dancing and is not being given this feedback all the time that her body is why they can't cast her in certain things. So you have to remember that wherever you're dancing, it could be an artistic preference. It's not necessarily that you do not have a body for ballet or that you're not in the place you need to be with dance. So I think you have to ask yourself, how do you feel about where your body is? This is such a key question. We in dance look around and see dancers who are maybe thinner than us and make the assumption that that's always going to be better or that's always going to be more desirable. Whereas the reality is that if you're at a healthy dancing weight and you are feeling energized and strong and you're able to do things technically, then it could just be a matter of finding the company where your body is valued where it is, your dancing is valued where it is. So that's something to think about. Is it time to maybe make a switch or look into making a switch? Do you feel like you're improving technically? Are you unimpeded by body image issues and physical limitations? So, if your body is in a place where you're dancing, like I said, at your best, you're dancing strongly, you're improving technically, and you're at a positive place mentally, then you're probably exactly where you need to be. If you're in a place of negative body image or negative thoughts around your body, that's a mental shift that needs to happen. And oftentimes it could be that, your body is in a fine place, but it's just the mental piece that has to shift. However, if you decide from a positive place that, okay, maybe I'm not where I want to be physically, that's a totally other thing. And that's something that I would hope when the company brings up to you, maybe this casting decision was made because we don't see your body where we want it to be. If you agree and you're coming at it from a positive place, it's time to work towards making those shifts in a healthful, balanced and positive way, avoiding extremes, because that can often happen when it's a casting decision. We get into a super negative space and then we say, okay, I have to be restrictive. I have to cut back on all carbs. I have to stop eating all of these foods that I enjoy. So it can get to that severe and serious and overly restrictive place when we're given this feedback. So you have to take a step back and get back to that positive headspace before you start to make progress towards any body goals you might decide that you have. Are you being offered other support? So with body change, oftentimes you're going to need some nutritional support and you're going to need some psychological support. Like I said, and like I always say, it's a mindset thing as much as it is, or honestly more than it is, a food thing. If you are in a place where you're overeating some days and undereating other days, it's very easy to yo-yo in weight. You're going to have a hard time maintaining any physical progress that you do make. So you need to get both the head piece and the physical piece into place before you can really make healthful and sustainable, that's what I always say, they have to be sustainable body changes. Because if you get this casting decision and then you hear it's about your body and you want to crash diet and then you get cast well in the next ballet, well, odds are other things are going to shift, or, you'll just get really hungry because you've been restrictive and you'll get into a pattern of yo-yo dieting. And then the next ballet comes and you might get that casting feedback again. So you want to seek out that support. Ask your company when you're given this feedback, if you're given this feedback, what resources are available to me that can support me in making healthful body changes? If they don't have anything off the top of their heads to give to you, hopefully they'll seek something out or think of something that they can offer to support you. I always tell companies, point dancers in the direction of health professionals who work specifically with dancers, who understand those specific needs and physical needs and energetic needs and psychological pressures, because otherwise it's just not necessarily going to work for you. I've worked with dancers who have previously worked with nutritionists and people who were trying to put them on super restrictive 1,200 calorie diets in order to lose weight. And unfortunately, if you're dancing for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, performing, things like that, that is going to be more damaging than anything else. And unfortunately, because they might not actually recognize what the physical expectations are and what the energetic needs are of a dancer, they might not be able to give you advice and a plan that's going to support those needs. A lot of times, I remember when I was dancing professionally, one of my friends was like, wait, so you just dance around all day? And I was like, what? The concept of being a dancer to a non-dancer, I think, is oftentimes very skewed and misrepresented, and they really don't understand that you're performing at the level of a high-level athlete. So, like I said, any nutrition or health or mental health professionals that you work with really need to understand the professional life of dance. A lot of people have a dance background, but I think if you've not been in a company and have performed at that level and, been in the routine of 9 to 5 rehearsals and that kind of thing, it still is not quite going to be as supportive as you need because they don't fully grasp what it's like to be in that environment. So seek out those professionals if they're not being provided to you. If your company does provide a nutrition professional to you and they don't have a dance background, hopefully they at least have some sort of a sports nutrition background and come from some sort of, high performing sport experience, something that can be linked or attributed. I hate to say that. It's not bad. People just serve different needs. But if they're a nutritionist who doesn't have that experience, obviously they're going to do better supporting someone who doesn't dance at a high level or perform at a high level as an athlete. Remind yourself when you get any kind of casting feedback, negative body feedback around casting, you have so much value as a person and a dancer, regardless of casting and regardless of where someone else thinks your body should be. Your value and your worth is intrinsic, it's internal, it has so much more to do with, the goodness that's inside you than your external appearance. So when you're harping on these externals, I want you to really focus inward and, tune into your feelings and your heart and your mind, and remember that your worth is not dictated by someone else's opinion of you as a dancer or someone else's opinion of your body. Coming back to that and reminding yourself of your intrinsic value can help to move past it without getting into a super negative headspace or feeling like, I must conform to make these other people happy. One of the things that we run into as dancers that's unfortunate, but it's very much ingrained from a young age, is this idea of external validation and this idea of needing to please those around us. And, obviously when you're dancing professionally, there are people at the helm who decide your career fate and your future. And so it's easy to say, well, I need this person to validate me and I need this person to say that I'm enough and I'm good enough. But ultimately, and this is super hard when you're dancing professionally because you've got a job, right? And you want to keep it. But ultimately, if you're consistently being put under unhealthy pressure and you're consistently being told from a casting perspective that we can't give you this role because we don't think your body's where it should be, it might be time to look for a new place to dance, especially if you are feeling in a happy and healthy place physically and energetically. Like I said, I had a client who was at a high top level company and was consistently being given this body feedback. And she ended up looking for a new job, and she got a new job, and she's very happy where she is. And I think, before it all happened, she wasn't probably ready for that shift. But now that the body pressure is off, she's so much happier at work. Food things have shifted naturally and healthfully because she's not consistently feeling like I must change this and I must eat less and I must do this, that, and the other thing. So keep that in mind and remember that your dancing is valuable, and if your body is strong and healthy, those are the most important things. So dancers, that's my message for today. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you next time.